Romantic.
Hello! Welcome back to Sinister Sisters. I am Shrimp! And, this is Kat.
Wow. Hello. I am the quiet one. The normal one.
Hello. I am the one with personality. That was mean.
Yikes.
Anyways.
What's up, friends?
I'm Shrimp, this is Kat, and it's True Crime Tuesday, and it is the last episode of Season 1.
Yeah.
For the past, 2 months or something, we've been talking about specifically women who kill, because that's our, Season 1, theme, whatever, and this is our last episode on women who kill. We are switching gears, and so we wanted to finish the season with something classic, which is the murder of Travis Alexander by Jodi Arias. Here's the tea. I'm sure you've noticed we are British. So I say Arias, but I know that Americans say Arias. Don't come for me, please.
That sounds like areola, and I don't like it.
It's spelt A-R-I-A-S.
Arias.
Arias for the other people. But we're British, so I'm going to say Arias. And you're going to have to get the fuck over it.
Yeah.
Anyway, anywho, anyhow, any day.
Today. Tuesday.
True Crime Tuesday. Make sure you follow our Instagram, which is sinistersisters.podcast, and check out the case request form that's in there, which is also in the episode description and the description bar of the YouTube video. And also you can email us, which is sinistersisterspod@gmail.com.
Also, if you're a Spotify listener, we would love for you to use the voice message feature to send us a message, and we can include it in one of our episodes sometime. We'd love to hear from you. We would
tell us everything.
Love for you to give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We do have one review on Apple Podcasts that I saw.
Was it me?
There was no content to it. It was just 5 stars. But
nice.
Thanks, whoever you are.
It might have been me.
Shh, don't say that.
You can cut that out. Okay. Anyways, so I have some content warnings for this episode because it is a doozy. Oh, I hated that. Anyways, the content warnings for this episode include murder, graphic descriptions of bodily harm and crime scenes, stalking, domestic abuse, and religiousness. See, I don't know if I wanted to content or warn of religiousness, but I know that for some people it's pretty traumatizing.
Yeah.
And the people we're talking about today are Mormon, which I know has an extra layer of trauma for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so listen with caution, please. I need to stop singing things. I'm supposed to be serious. We'll start from the beginning where all good stories start. Typically, sometimes
yes.
they start at the end, and that is a good story too. Anyways, true. Shut up. Make me shut up. Travis Victor Alexander was born on July 28th, 1977 in Riverside, California to Gary Alexander and Pamela Alexander. At the age of 11, Travis moved in with his paternal grandparents as his parents were allegedly addicted to drugs and cooking it in their house. Nice. After his father's death in July of 1997, all 7 of Travis's siblings were taken in by his paternal grandmother. Travis was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so that's Mormonism, and he later in life became a speaker for the Mormon Church because he magically turned his life around through God by getting a good job, and he bought a house quite young and all that stuff. But what goes together better than Mormonism and MLMs. Nothing.
Literally nothing. A match
Travis
made in
worked,
heaven.
literally, by God himself. Travis worked as a salesman for prepaid legal services, which is now called Legal Shield. So it's an MLM in the Americas, in America, that gets you legal stuff. I don't really know how it works. It has like legal advice and things like that, which is insane. There's an MLM for
Interesting.
everything.
Yeah, there really truly
Yeah,
is. There's an
and
MLM for
that's weird.
life insurance.
Primerica,
Primerica, yeah.
and they have offices like in. There's one down the street, sort of down the street, but it's like in this city, and like it looks legit, but that is a pyramid scheme.
It is. It is.
Anyways, so that's all we really know about Travis. But next up, we have Jodi Arias, who was born July 9th in 1980 in Salinas, California, to William and Sandra Arias. Growing up, she was a troubled child and had some problems with listening. I believe that is a direct quote from her dad, actually.
Ouch.
And she liked taking pictures.
Okay.
She was a photography bitch. Arias and Travis met in September 26th at a prepaid legal conference in Las Vegas. They were sat at a table together, and apparently they like hit it off like so much. And there was a lot of like problems in their relationship because it is said that Travis and Jodi were sleeping together, and that is not allowed if you're a Mormon. And so Travis like tried to make them not do that anymore, but Jodi didn't like that and whatever. And that Travis's faith was a very like big part of his personal life. And so during their relationship, Jodi converted to Mormonism and Travis baptized her on November 29th, 2009.
That's
and
weird.
It's been said that she, by like close friends of Travis's, that she was believing that he was baptizing her as like a life partner, where he just thought he was doing it as like a friend. The overall consensus is that she was much more into this relationship than he was, and they dated intermittent on and off for a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
So she was like babies and kids, and he was like, I just want to get my dick wet.
Okay. Men.
Yeah. Travis's friends who knew Jodi and observed them together tended to have a negative opinion of her, stating that the relationship was tumultuous and that Jodi's behavior was worrying. Okay. Nobody really went into detail. But as we get into it later, Travis believed that she was stalking him, which she probably was, by slashing his tires, hacking into his Facebook account, and climbing into his house through a doggy door. Like, that's ma'am, weird. If anything, get some fucking self-respect. No man is worth that.
Truly.
That's life hacks with shrimp. Sorry.
That's fine.
So, after failing to show up to a scheduled trip to Cancun, Mexico, Travis's friends and family began to worry. He was supposed to be going to a conference, but he didn't show up. So some colleagues from prepaid legal services went to his home to check on him. His roommates said that he was out of town, but like his room smelled bad, and they hadn't like heard from him or seen him or anything like in a few days, but they assumed that he was out of town because I guess he did that a lot. So after some searching, the friends found a key to his room, and this is where they found him in the shower in his ensuite bathroom. His throat had been cut, and he had been stabbed 27 times, as well as being shot in the head. There is some discourse about how many times he was actually stabbed. Some say 27, some say like more than 30. So not ideal, anyways.
No.
He also had defense wounds on his hand that led police to classify his death as a homicide. The
Mm.
911 call made to notify authorities made mention of Jodi Arias, saying that Travis believed she was stalking him by hacking into his Facebook, slashing tires, and breaking into his house via the doggy door. She also was leaving. Travis and Jodi were broken up at this point,
Mm.
and he was casually seeing some other woman from his church, and she was leaving voicemails for this lady, I guess. Yes, not the vibe.
Ah.
Around the time this happened, which was May 2008, Jodi was living with her grandparents
Mm.
back in California. She moved to Arizona for a bit, which is where Travis lived. I don't know if I said that, but he lived in Arizona. She lived in California. They moved, well, she moved to Arizona to be closer to him. He didn't like this. She moved back to California to live with her grandparents.
Okay.
So, May 28th, a burglary was reported at her grandparents' house, and the only object of note that was taken was a 25 caliber gun. And to this day, it had never been recovered. Please remember foreshadowing that Travis Alexander was shot in the head.
Yes.
Several
I
days before the
remember.
murder, you remember. We're
I could not
backtracking a bit.
forget.
Yes. I have to sneeze, maybe. Maybe not. We're backtracking a bit because several days before the murder, Jodi contacted an ex-boyfriend and asked to borrow 2 5-gallon gas cans for a trip to Arizona because she was back living in California now. He lent them to her, but they were never returned. Receipts shown later have Jodi purchasing a third 5-gallon gas can, sunblock, and a facial cleaner from Walmart on June 3rd. After Travis's death, but before his body was discovered, Arias had continued to call him and had left him several voicemail messages. And on June 2nd, 2008, Arias rented a white Ford Focus in Redding, California, about 100 miles south of her residence. So she had gone to like this different place to rent this car. She told the budget rent-a-car staff that she would only be driving the car locally, but when the car returned on June 7th, it had been driven about 2,800 miles. It was also missing all of its floor mats, and there was what looked to be like a Kool-Aid stain on the front and rear seats. And the car was cleaned by rent-a-car before the police could examine it. Yes. What was I going to say? So the idea is that she borrowed these gas cans so that she wouldn't have to get gas and leave a trail of the fact that she was in Arizona. She also turned her phone off for a while,
Okay.
like a couple of days while she was there. So, a spent 25 caliber round was located near one of the sinks in the master bath in Travis's home, which is the same gun that was taken from Jodi's grandparents' home. Travis was also a photographer. He dabbled, and that's something that they had bonded over.
Mm-hmm.
But his damaged digital camera was located in the downstairs washing machine, and although images had been deleted from the SD card, Mesa police were able to recover the images, and these images included Arias and Alexander both in sexually suggestive poses at approximately 1:40 p.m. on June 4th, 2008.
Okay.
That's the day that he was murdered. I don't think I mentioned that. It was June 4th, 2008, the day that he was murdered. The last photo of Travis alive and in the shower was taken at 5:29:20 p.m. on June 4th. Moments later, images appear of an individual believed to be Travis profusely bleeding on the floor. These pictures are available because it was 2008. Like, these things are on the internet, and I accidentally looked at them, and that last picture, terrifying.
I can imagine.
Yes. You can see, I guess not the last picture because it's not when he's profusely bleeding, but it's the last one of him alive in the shower,
Mm.
you can see like fear in his eyes, which is just.
Mm.
I don't suggest looking up the pictures. It's
No.
not the vibe.
Hmm.
So she was indicted by a grand jury on first-degree murder. Sorry, she was indicted by a grand jury on a first-degree murder charge on July 9th, 2008, and arrested at her grandparents' home on July 15th, 2008. She was extradited to Arizona on September 5th, and where she pled not guilty on September 11th. There was really no other suspect in this crime because of those pictures that were taken, and also at the crime there was a bloody palm print that was located out of the was located in the bathroom hallway, which DNA revealed to be a mixture of Arias and Travis's DNA. Arias
Mm.
continued to insist that she had last seen Alexander in April 2008, despite being presented with DNA and photographic evidence that suggested differently. Arias's Jodi's what is it called, like interrogation tapes are
Mm.
online, and she's fucking weird in that. Like, ma'am is singing like I don't know what it is, but it's like a Christmas carol, I'm pretty sure, or like a Bible hymn or something, and she's doing headstands in the interrogation room. Like, it's like she doesn't know that she was being filmed, but they tell you that you're being filmed. It was
Yeah.
really, really weird, and there's some conjecture that perhaps she was going to go for an insanity plea, and so she was playing that up.
Possibly. Yeah. Hmm.
However, yes,
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, they can hold you for a really long time once they've arrested you. So maybe she was just really bored. Like,
maybe.
you would get bored.
At the point that she was being like this interrogation video, I don't think she'd been arrested yet. This was like the first questioning of like,
Uh,
he's been murdered, you've been mentioned, we haven't arrested her yet. She was a
that's
suspect, but not arrested yet. So she was just fucking around in the interview room.
bizarre.
Yes. Once she had been arrested, she gave 3 different accounts of what had happened that night. She originally told police that she had not been in the home at the time of Travis's death. She later told police that 2 intruders had broken into Travis's home and that they murdered him and attacked her. Finally, she stated that she killed him in self-defense and she was a victim of domestic violence. And that is the story that she stuck to until, like, to this day.
Hmm.
And her trial began December 10th, 2012, in Maricopa County. The prosecutors sought the death penalty, and the defense argued that the murder was done in self-defense. Something that was unusual in this murder trial that doesn't really happen usually is that Jodi Arias testified in her own defense, and she
Oh
was on
well.
the stand for a full 18 days. She
Oh
told
my
stories of being
god.
horrendous. Yeah, 18 days.
That's a long freaking trial.
Yeah, it was
Fuck.
insane. She told stories of being horrendously abused at home growing up, including accusing her dad of sexually abusing her. No evidence of this, of either of these things, was ever found, and like, it had never been brought up before. The
Hmm.
consensus around it was that it never happened. So she, like, we don't know obviously, but if you watch the trial footage, she says this, and then her dad was in court, and so like
Um.
you can like see him like shaking his head and being like that, which obviously doesn't mean anything, but there's never been any proof or any kind of, like, nobody else has ever agreed with her, like none of her siblings,
Mm,
none of her cousins, nothing
I
else.
see.
So, and she
Hmm.
never mentioned it before. So she also testified that Travis found young boys and girls to be sexually attractive, and that it was something she was trying to help him through. But again, that was denied by everybody who ever knew him ever. So again, we don't know for sure, but no evidence of that was found, and it was denied by everyone who knew him. So she testified that her relationship with Travis became increasingly physically and emotionally abusive, some of which caused Travis's sister to continuously roll her eyes and shake her head in disbelief during the trial.
Yep.
Arias said that Alexander shook her while saying, quote, "I'm fucking sick of you," end quote, then began, quote, screaming at me, after which he body slammed me on the floor at the foot of his bed and taunted her, saying, "Don't act like that hurts," before he called her a bitch and kicked her in the ribs. Afterwards, Arias said that he went to kick me again, and I put my hand out. And then she held up her left hand in the courtroom, showing that her ring finger was crooked. And several psychologists testified on her behalf, saying that she was suffering from PTSD-like symptoms. They were, in trials you can pay expert witnesses.
Yeah.
They were expert witnesses that were known for coming to this conclusion for a lot of people, I guess. Yes.
So expert, but with a pinch of salt.
Yes, and these expert witnesses on the defense side said that she's suffering from PTSD-like symptoms, but that other psychologists that had interviewed her and whatever it is did not agree. So
Also, I would imagine that if you murdered somebody, you could then display symptoms of PTSD, because that in itself is a traumatic event, regardless of why you did it. I would think
you would think,
you could be traumatized from it,
unless you're a psycho,
well,
a serial killer.
Yeah.
So, because Jodi testified over 18 days, which is pretty much unprecedented in trials, that's a long fucking time, because that's one testimony.
Yeah.
That's a long fucking time. A few jurors had to be dismissed. One was due to misconduct, which it never explained. I couldn't find what that misconduct was. One because they got a DUI as they were on the jury. One for health reasons. And the detective that did most of the work on this case said that it was unprecedented and a fucking long time to be testifying.
Yeah. I initially thought you were going to say she testified for 18 hours, and I was going to say that even seems like a long time, let alone 18 days.
18 days is a very, very long time to be testifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Insane. So on May 8th, 2013, after 15 hours of deliberation, Jodi was found guilty of first-degree murder. Of the 12 jurors, 5 found her guilty of first-degree premeditated murder, and 7 found her guilty of that and also felony murder. I don't really know what the difference is, but majority found her guilty of felony murder as well as first-degree murder. As the guilty verdict was read, Arias struggled to keep back her tears while Travis's family smiled and hugged each other. People outside the courtroom cheered and chanted.
Weird.
Because the prosecution was asking for the death penalty, almost a second hearing had to take place. It's not quite as involved or whatever, but it's the prosecution needs to convince the jury that the murder was cruel, heinous, or depraved, and that it was that the death penalty is the only justice that could be given.
Yeah.
The only witness was the medical examiner who had done the autopsy. At this point, Arias's lawyers had asked multiple times to step down and be replaced, and gave only meager opening and closing statements, and only suggested that due to adrenaline, Travis wouldn't have felt much of the murder, so that's why she shouldn't be lethally injected for it. Yeah.
Terrible defense. Ooh.
It's they didn't really care.
Well, fair. Yeah.
One thing that the prosecution did that really stuck their point across is that they held a 2-minute silence during this phase to illustrate how long the medical examiner estimated it would have taken Travis to die at Jodi's hands.
That's really powerful, because 2 minutes is a long freaking
the word
time.
I was looking for before.
Poignant,
So the idea is that it took 2 minutes of her stabbing him, and this is graphic, but his neck was cut, and it cut through his windpipe. It was so deep, almost decapitated him. Yes.
Oh my fucking fuck.
Yeah. And
That's like pure rage. That's insane.
that is another reason why there wasn't really any other suspect, because that is a crime of passion that has
Yeah.
like this person who killed Travis knew him and had like a problem with him. It wasn't just a like a robbery or
Right.
like some other reason. That was a crime of passion, and the only person really that would have that kind of passion and was also insane was Jodi Arias.
Yeah.
Um so this case was televised,
Oh well.
and according to the internet, it was a live and unedited web feed. So people were watching it like as a sport
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
And people were outside of the courthouse every day too. And it absolutely turned into a media circus, which is kind of gross because it gave Jodi Arias a platform. She did quite a few interviews, um, which is icky. And she did an interview actually. I can't remember who it was with, but it was before the trial had started, and she's like, "There's no way they're gonna convict me because I'm innocent. There's no way I'm gonna be found guilty." And then she was.
Because she did
She
it.
also did an interview with, oh no, sorry, she requested that the court give her the death penalty. She was like putting on a show, and
Yeah.
she was considered to be very beautiful,
Mm.
and she really played up this element that, oh, I am a battered woman, I was abused, I had to kill him in self-defense, and now look at what the world is doing to me, look at what men are doing to me, they're putting me on trial, protecting my abuser, blah blah blah. It was not the vibe.
No. And like, imagine how far back that sets genuine domestic violence survivors who are trying to
Yeah,
bring their abusers to court.
yeah, not the vibe in any way, shape,
Absolutely
or form.
not the vibe at all. The opposite of the vibe, actually.
I should say that Travis did have a previous girlfriend that
Mm.
testified to him being an angry person and shoving her once, but that she never felt unsafe. So I suppose that there could be some kind of domestic abuse that was happening, but a lot of the evidence points to Jodi kind of being obsessed. She moved
Yeah.
to Arizona to be with him when they were not at that point in a relationship yet. And she would show up at his house all the time.
Mm.
She didn't like him talking to other women, which he spent a lot of time doing because he was in an MLM and he was a motivational speaker. So he would travel quite often, and she
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
like it. She wanted to go with him or whatever. And it was just like there could have been a bit of icky behavior from both of them.
Mm.
But I think if you're really killing someone in self defense, you don't stab them 30 plus times, shoot them in the
No.
head, and also cut their throat really deeply. Like it's one or the other. If you had a gun on you, you'd probably shoot them. But if
Yeah.
you think that your partner is violent, you're not going to take a gun in the house anyway.
No. Hmm.
So I don't know. I suppose there's always the possibility, but what happened didn't really support that,
Yeah.
you know?
And also, murdering someone is not the appropriate response to them abusing you. As much
No.
as, like, they deserve some repercussions for their actions, probably not death.
No. And also, if she was, say she moved to Arizona and she was being abused, she did get out because she moved back to California. And this
Right.
was before social media was huge. And so he could have still had a hold on her by like calls
Mm.
and letters and things. But I would think that, I mean, I'm about to show my idiocy, but I don't know where Arizona is, but I think it's pretty far from California. Are they next door? But also, this is America. They're next door in America.
Yeah. It's not like extremely, extremely close, but yeah, they are neighboring. Where was he in Mesa? You said
Mesa, yeah. And she was in
Salinas.
Salinas, yeah, but also maybe some other place like East Palante or something, but not that because that's not California.
Oh, that's actually like very far.
Is it?
It's like a nearly 12-hour drive.
Yeah, so it's like not. And then without social media, it's not like. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, an abuser's gonna do what an abuser's gonna do, but I don't know. I just think that like the evidence does not show that.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's all I have for this personal episode. I hope you enjoyed season 1, Women Who Kill.
Yeah.
I hope you are prepared for season 2, which I
Woo.
believe at this current time is going to be devious duos. So, people who commit crimes together, either partners, like they love each other, like boyfriends or girlfriends, or
Husbands or
just
wives or
just they are partners in crime and that's all that they do. So I think we're going to talk about Fred and Rosemary West as a little sneak
ooh,
peek, Ian
that
Brady
one's
and
an
Myra
interesting
Hindley,
one. Mm.
and the Ken and Barbie killers, because that one's
Yeah.
Canadian.
We love a Canadian connection.
We love Canada. Oh, she
Look at
baby.
she's attacking me.
She's
Attacked.
baby. Do you want to look
Who
from
beat you?
a dog, a puppy at Thanksgiving? She
Oh,
bit me.
ow. How rude.
Anyways, that's it. Bye. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. Sinister Sisters Podcast
Yeah.
is the username, I believe. And
Uh,
that's all because I want to have pie.
pie. What's your favorite kind of pie? Pie flavored.
Oh my god. Okay, bye. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
Let us know how you liked season 1.
This is a one, not this. Bye. Say bye, producer
Bye.
Nova.
Bye.